this probably be a quick one. Of course, we've said this before, and it turns out to be about a 20-minute segment, so bear that in mind. E3 is officially returning. So the ESA announced that E3 will be back on 2023 in June. And the big announcement was that Reedpop is going to be... Is it Reedpop, or is it...
Yeah, Reedpop.
Okay. Whew, okay, good. That basically Reedpop will be the ones that will be running the customer version, or I was just the public version of E3. If you're not familiar with Reedpop, Reedpop is basically the company that does all the nerd conventions, from the Star Wars Celebration to I think what everyone knows is PAX. So, what did you think when you heard that E3 is coming back and that Reedpop will be running it?
For me, it was just kind of a, best of luck to you guys. This is really going to be interesting if you guys can pull it off, because the last few times that E3 has been a consumer show, it has, for lack of a better way of putting it, has been a shit show. Just, you've got journalists and industry professionals trying to clash for time to play demos and stuff on the E3 show floor, and just which resulted in long lines for just anything that was popular. So if you were wanting to play something that was being published or produced by Nintendo, good freaking luck if you were able to get through the line by the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was why I was just kind of like, that's interesting that they're having Reedpop do it, but just best of luck to them, because they're gonna need it.
I mean, the ESA is being smart about this by saying, okay, clearly we can't do this very well, so we need someone who can do it. So they pretty much they've hired the best one to do this. It was smart of them to basically say, hey, day 1 and I think it's day 1 and 2 is for journalists, and then the rest will be for the public. I mean, that's the Gamescom method, and that's probably the best method you can come with, because, you're right. Because what they were doing was unless a company had a behind closed door appointment for journalists, literally journalists had to cut lines in order to actually get to cover games. And that pissed a lot of people off, I heard, because there would always be a journalist who'd be like, hey, I have an appointment to play this game. Oh, yeah, cut the line. Here we go. And then you have all these people waiting to play Borderlands 3 and be like, hey, wait a minute, I've been waiting here for 3 hours. What the fuck? It's like, he gets it first. Sorry. So, yeah, I've heard of horror stories where literally someone went to E3, bought a ticket, and all they can do is stand on line for one game, and that was their E3 experience. I mean, that is awful. That is the worst experience you can have.
Yeah, and I think it's funny because in one of the old episodes of the Giant Bombcast, I think Jeff Gerstmann pretty much said he felt sorry for anyone who's trying to attend E3 as a consumer or just a gamer.
Yeah.
Because literally that, he was just like, yeah, I think he said something to the effect of, I felt terrible, even though I technically had an appointment, but here I was having to basically say, sorry, I got to get in because I got an appointment, and then just seeing a bunch of people getting real angry going, dude, this stinks. I've been here all freaking day, and I can't even get in to play this. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, it was a response to basically have Slapdash, the ESA, did this. Like, we know that they did this specifically because they were desperate for cash. So, and the ESA being the lobbying arm of the gaming industry, something that people tend to forget when they say that E3 is done and it's not coming back. E3 will always come back as long as the ESA is its lobbying arm, because the companies will want to put money into the ESA to defend them from getting regulated. So as long as the ESA is around, the E3 is here. So get used to that. But yeah, basically, they had a serious issue when it comes to basically advertising what the hell E3 was going to be. I mean, the E3 had an identity complex for the past, I would say, especially during the pandemic too. Like the past few years, it was rough. People were like, if everyone's doing these online streams, I mean, what's the point? But I think if you would ask any fan, would they prefer the online stream or would they prefer an E3 presentation? They would probably say an E3 presentation. And E3 for a long time now has been like considered the mecca for gaming, where you get to play all these new games that are coming out before it's released. And how cool is that? And people had those dreams to do that when they finally made it available to the public, and they bungled it big time. So if they're gonna make it into like a PAX-like presentation, I mean that's probably their best business bet. I'd really wonder what PAX is gonna do if this is successful. Oh, what they're gonna do different if E3 does a really good job. But yeah, I mean, this to me was this was a good sign that the ESA is doing this intelligently and correctly, and that they hopefully have a good idea in place. Now, what do you think this means for Summer Games Fest?
I think Jeff Keighley announced that he would still be doing it.
Oh yeah,
but, yeah, I think that'll still be a thing. But overall, it'll be interesting because I think there's been supposedly word that a few hundred companies have signed up to do this whole E3 shindig. So we'll see how this pans out.
Yeah. I think next year it's definitely going to be there. My question was, after the announcement that it was returning, was, well, who's going to go to E3 and who's going to go to Summer Games Fest? Or are there going to be a lot of people, are there going to be a lot of companies that are going to try and do both? And are there going to be times where, let's say, a company's going to say, if you're going to announce it here, you can't announce it at Summer Games Fest? So what's that going to do for Keighley at this point? Because let's be honest, Summer Games Fest worked because there was no E3. I'm really curious if it's going to work with an E3 there. Because if there is an E3, I mean, at that point, most companies are like, well, I pay the ESA my dues anyway, so I might as well utilize E3. So, yeah, I'm going to be really curious as to what happens to Games Fest after this. So
yeah, I think one of the things that Summer Games Fest did right was was working with publishers to get demos out for anyone who couldn't attend the conventions and stuff. Because at that point, you could at least play some of these cool-looking E3 demos that the journalists were playing, and instead of kind of going, "Oh man, this sucks. I just wish I was able to do this. This sucks. E3 is the dream. I'll never be able to do that." People can kind of get E3 at home, to use that terrible meme.
Yeah. All right. I mean, we can't really discuss whether it's going to be good or bad or not because we don't know what E3 is doing right now or ESA is doing. So we'll know next year whether it was worth the time or not. But this isn't a surprise to me. Like, this is... I've been calling this since everyone was saying, "Oh, E3 is dead." No, it's not. They're gonna try and they're gonna keep doing this until it becomes financially infeasible to do so. So if they start losing money doing E3, that's when the ESA is gonna turn around and say, "Oh, forget this. We're not doing this anymore." Anything more to add?
Nope. Just we'll be seeing what they do next year with going back to the convention floor space. So we'll see if it ends up bringing the hype back, or if it's going to be just a wow, they really got lazy and just kind of phoned it in with gosh, what's it called? Reedpop sort of doing things. Nice. Okay. Well, I won't say no for them trying, but this could have been so much better if they actually put in the actual effort to make a good show.
Yeah.